What up, everybody? I'm back. One could argue better than ever. Oh, I spent some time off the grid. We're going to talk about it. A couple minutes early. I know people haven't rolled in yet. Take your time. Good morning and salutations. I'll greet everybody as they come in. I know we're a few minutes early. Oh, it's already Wednesday. It feels weird for me because let me go ahead and give the first article a Get Your News On with Ron retweet. We'll see if we have other stuff coming in. Good morning, everybody. What's up, Pat? Glad you can make it today. Hello, Mike. Hello, Celeste. Mystic Warrior, good to see you again. What's up, Jennifer? What's up, Platypus? What's up, Andre? I am totally left-handed. What's up, Andrew? What's up, Rab? What's up, Mr. Gibson? G. Gibson. Oh. What's up, Chris? I missed you guys, too. Good to be here. What's up, Marcia? What's up, Farad? What's up, Balthazar? What's up, David? What's up, Victoria? What's up, Crystal? And it looks like we're just about ready to begin. You guys know the rules here. Get your news on with Ron. Once we hit 30 people, the show has officially begun. And according to my resources, I know that the people count loads a little slower for me than it does for you guys, but looks like we're at 30, so welcome to Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. What does that mean? That means you guys tweet me articles, we go through them, and that's how we build this show. So go ahead and tweet some stuff over to me. We're going to get started, but you guys know we always start out with a question, and here's where I'm going today, guys. I'm going to ask you guys for a little bit of help. So, I was off the grid. Monday, I was pretty much off the grid completely. And I'll be honest with you guys, I feel like I could not have picked a better day to be off the grid. I missed all that stuff. All the Trump-Putin stuff. Now, I'm sure your wouldn't joke is the most hilarious and original one of them all. I got so tired of looking at those. Especially, a lot of my friends are comedians, obviously, and just, So, anyway, I was totally off the grid. I missed all of that, and I was thrilled to be off the grid for that. Tuesday, I was also kind of off the grid because I was traveling back to Los Angeles, and because there was a big storm out on the East Coast where I got back home about 5 hours later than I originally was going to. So I missed a little bit, guys. And I guess my question for the day, what all did I miss? Let me know. I've caught up on a few things. The Trump-Putin thing, I guess for some people, this is their first time learning that Trump's a liar. How is that news to anybody at this point? How's that? I saw some people, they would post stuff on social media and they'd be like, I don't mean to be politically controversial, but I don't trust the president. You think that's politically controversial? That's called being awake. And it doesn't just apply to Trump. You know who it applies to as well? Every freaking president from my lifetime. I've never, you wake up and trust the president? Wow, that's a fun movie you live in. That's really gotta be fun. You You succumb to the Britney Spears rules of politics. Just, yeah, they know what's best. They're looking out for us. I've seen people, I don't mean to be controversial. You're not. You're not. That's actually, whenever somebody starts a tweet or a post with, I don't want to be controversial, here's a news, you're not. Don't worry. You're freaking not. You don't need that little disclaimer there. You're not. You're not. What's going to come after that is either a very obvious observation that most sane people share, or just an ignorant freaking statement. That's a lot of people when they have, I don't want to be controversial, but it's followed by either something profoundly ignorant or something so painfully obvious. It's like, how are you? Welcome to the party, I guess. Where the frick have you been? I don't trust this president. I don't mean to get my panties in a bunch, but this president, I have a feeling he's just looking out for other one percenters. Are you kidding? So I guess, what all did I miss, you guys? Oh, and people are talking about they're going to remake the Rugrats, apparently. And I guess some millennials are saying, oh, you're ruining my childhood. No. No. The Rugrats was a brilliant show that was light years beyond its time. And if they're going to remake that and maintain those principles for a future generation to enjoy, I think that's freaking awesome. I think that's a good thing. I love the Rugrats too. All right, guys, so turning it over to you now. What did I miss, everybody? What did I miss? I'll give you guys a few minutes. We're getting some articles here. We got some good ones. It's going to be a fun time today. I'm stoked. Are there more people that don't trust the president? Did you have friends of yours that they're looking at their 401ks and they're thinking, you know what? This guy's just not very nice. I don't think he's a very nice guy. And I think he betrayed our American interests with Russia when he talked to Putin. Do you guys remember when excessive nationalism and isolationism was something that the right did, and it was just something that the right did? The whole, you're with us or you're with the terrorist mentality. Remember when it was just the right wing doing that? And now it's the faux left, the limousine liberal left, the cappuccino conservative left, the conservative in denial left that are doing that, revamping up the Cold War. And I'm not saying Trump's not probably doing shady dealings with Russian oligarchs. He probably is. He probably has some shady dealings, just like all other oligarchs around the frickin' world. But do you guys remember when it was just the right that did that? Do you guys remember that? Do you guys remember when even the limousine liberal left was smart enough to be like, yeah, we don't like any of these oligarchs involved here, but the idea of war sounds even worse. That sounds just a little worse. Just a little bit. Remember those days? I do. I think I do. Maybe they were never there and I just thought they were. You know, it's possible. But what did I miss, you guys? Was there some water cooler talk or more people? I just don't. He just doesn't. Oh, my feathers are in a bunch. Pat says, I loved the Rugrats. I did too. Jennifer said they're remaking Daria. I haven't heard about that, but that's freaking awesome. The only thing I saw in relation to that was there was that Aubrey Plaza made that video, but I thought that was a parody thing. I didn't think they were actually doing that. Maybe they are, and I'm wrong. So let me know. I missed some fake outrage, Chris says. I believe it. Let's see. Green Mustay. You missed how batshit all the Republicans became. Brenner even accused Trump of treason. Sanders had a town hall. I did miss that. Yeah, the Fight for 15 town hall. David tells me I missed nothing. Everything still sucks. DNC has decided to still keep superdelegates. I missed that, but I'm not surprised. Let's see. Mueller is a liar. Probably. He lied about Iraq. Good morning from San Diego. Good to see you, San Diego. Awesome show in Richmond. Jackson, thank you very much. I had a great time in Richmond. Thank you, everybody that was there. It was a blast. We are all Russian. Agreed. Dem Society keeps superdelegate. Musk. I missed the Musk thing. I'm not sure what that's even in reference to. Someone's got to catch me up on that. What do you think about the EU chief to charge Google over anti-competitive practices? Sources say. I'm not familiar with that. I would need to know more. Feel free to tweet an article. But again, I've been off the grid for a few days. And happily so, quite frankly. Ship in Hawaii gets hit by flying debris from volcano. Yikes. I did not hear about that. Do I think Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez should continue the TV interviews? Yeah, I feel like she has to. She can't just shy away from them. Still haven't given the server from the DNC to the FBI or DHS. What's up, Russ? How are you? Joe Lieberman came out of the swamp to endorse Crawley Run. That's not surprising. That's not surprising. Wondering where you've been? I was on the road. I had a show in Richmond, Virginia on Saturday night. It was a good time. We had a blast. And then after that, I went up to the eastern shores of Virginia where my girlfriend's father lived, and we visited with him for a few days. This was a small town in the middle of nowhere. This is the type of town where all of the restaurants also sell fireworks. And we went up there. This is the type of town where last call is at 9 p.m., literally. We went out around that time on Sunday night, and there was literally nothing open. And then Monday we were able to find a drink at 9 p.m. The place was closing, but they were willing to serve us a whiskey. Or, well, she had a glass of wine, I had a whiskey, but... So I was pretty much off the grid. And her dad had Wi-Fi, kind of, but it didn't really work. So yeah, I was not... I tweeted a little bit yesterday from the airport, where because of a storm, my trip was about 6 hours longer than it should have been. So anyway, yeah, I'm catching up. And you guys are telling me Musk has been donating to the Republicans. I heard about that. Any plans on putting another stand-up show on Patreon soon? You know what, Dwayne? Since you asked, I'm going to put another stand-up show on Patreon today. How's that sound? I haven't posted. I usually post something on Wednesdays. I haven't yet. So I'm going to post a stand-up show today. Ask and ye shall receive. So you got it. I'm going to post a stand-up show. Noticed in a past video you were wearing a U.S. bomb t-shirts. Yeah, I was. I like the U.S. bombs. I like their music, and I got to see them last weekend. And it was pretty cool. It was a really fun punk show. It went until 1 in the morning. I have not been to a punk show like that in years, and it was pretty neat for me. I know Dwayne Peters has had a lot of issues over the years. I don't know much about that, to be totally honest with you. I just know that I listened to Warbirth a lot when I was 13, and that's pretty much it. All right, so the UK government is collapsing, according to Pam. All right, well, let's go to our first article. I already gave it a Get Your News On With Ron retweet, and it is about Ralph Nader. So a while ago, let's go to the article here. A while ago, I talked about, is it time for us to kind of be quiet about who we vote for? And my reason for bringing up that question, a question that I myself am still undecided on, isn't because I'm ashamed or that I don't want people to know or that, but it's because I feel that as of recent, the conversation has been so diluted. And so many people, you know, if you didn't bend the knee to vote for Queen Hillary, they just discount you right away. You know, Tom Hartman, apparently, if you say, hey, I was a Jill Stein supporter, he will just hang up on you. You know, Tom Hartman being the big progressive that he is. So, you know, my question was, you know, should we just be quiet about who we vote for and keep it straight to issues? And I think about it from the micro level, and I think about it at the macro level. I feel like if I really stuck to issues-based conversations, where I really just told people, hey, look, this is what I want to see in the country, this is what the country needs, and there is nobody on the ballot that fits that platform, or there is somebody on the ballot, and it is this person, this person, and this person, or whatever the case may be, I feel like maybe that would be a lot more fruitful than saying, I'm voting for this person, even though you would want me to go for the lesser of two evils and do X. So yeah, it's an interesting question, and somebody tweeted this, which I think is kind of related. So this is from Ralph Nader. Ralph Nader was the person that I brought up as an example. Ralph Nader never tells people who he votes for. That's kind of a principle of his. He's like, look, I talk about the issues, I lay it out for people, but I never tell them what I'm doing in the ballot booth. That's something Ralph Nader does. So, oops. So, you know, for some of the people that were like, well, if you're not totally open about who you vote for, you can't really be a voice, I guess you don't consider Ralph Nader a voice in that case, because Ralph Nader does that. So, and there's actually a lot of people that do that, and I guess you don't consider any of them voices, which that's your choice. Ralph Nader, the Democrats are unable to defend the U.S. from the most vicious Republican Party in history. The Democratic Party, now this is from a while ago. This is more a principle thing, because this is from 2017. The Democratic Party at its lowest ebb in the memory of everyone and now alive. It's lost the White House and both houses of Congress. On the state level, it's weaker at any time since 1920. And so far in 2017, and we can just put 2018 in there because it's the same thing, Democrats have gone 0 for 4 in special elections. Well, actually, technically they're not. Actually, that is a little different, but the numbers are still bad. How did it come to this? One person the Democratic Party is not going to ask, but perhaps should, is legendary consumer advocate and three-time presidential candidate Ralph Nader. Ralph Nader, who's now 83 and has been based in Washington, D.C. for over 50 years, has had a front-row seat to the Democrats' slow collapse. Democrats excoriated Nader, who received over 97,000 votes in Florida, for handing the election to Bush. Since it's impossible to rerun history, there's no way to know whether Gore would have won without a Nader candidacy. He certainly might have, but it's also possible that since the Nader threat noticeably pushed Gore to take more popular progressive positions, Gore would have performed even worse in a Nader-less election. In any case, it's now undeniable that the Democratic Party has significant problems. Okay, so Ralph Nader says, do you want me to go through the history of the decline and decadence of the Democratic Party? I'm going to give you milestones. All right, so here we go. First big one, these are Ralph Nader's words. First big one was in 1979. Tony Callowell, who was a congressman from California and who ran the House Democratic campaign treasure chest, convinced the Democrats they should bid for corporate money and corporate PACs. So he said, hey, we got to go for the money. This is around the time Reagan came around. And they did, and I could see the difference almost immediately. First off, they lost the election to Reagan. Then they started getting weaker in the Congress because they bowed to the donors. And they didn't know how to deal with Reagan. And the Republicans took note. That means a soft tone, smiling. You can say terrible things and do terrible things as long as you have that type of presentation. Well, and gee, look at how that worked out. Look at how that worked out from Reagan till now. People are making it out like Trump is some crazy anomaly. Meanwhile, his policies are just brutal Republican policies as usual. Paul Ryan would be doing the same thing. John Kasich would be doing the same thing. Jeb Bush would be doing the same thing. George W. Bush, war criminal. And people, quote, yearn for the days of George W. Bush, a war criminal, because they have Trump derangement syndrome. Why? Because Trump doesn't have the subtlety they're used to in a right-wing politician. And when I say right-wing politician, I could be referring to a Democrat too, by the way. So they took economic issues off the table that used to win again and again in the 30s and 40s, which is absolutely true. I got to meet a lovely couple from West Virginia over the weekend that drove out to Richmond for the show, and they told me in our area, we're a lot more progressive than you might realize. We're a lot more populist than you might realize, and people in our area, they don't vote because they don't think it frickin' matters. It's not that they know that Trump's going to win and they want to see a Republican. It's that they don't think it matters because they've been abandoned economically for 40 years. 40 frickin' years. Raising money from Wall Street and from the drug companies. All right. The Democrats began here. I think this is important. The Democrats began the process of message preceding policy. No policy precedes message. Sorry, misread that. I thought he was saying they have no policy, which is freaking true. But that means they kept saying how bad the Republicans are. Gee, are they still doing this? I don't know. Have you seen the other guys? They campaigned by saying, can you believe how bad the Republicans are? And what did this all lead to, everybody? We all know what this led to. This led to the inevitable shuffle to the right. The Republicans kept getting more brutal because there was no policy to oppose them. So the Democrats would kind of just go right too because they had donor money as well. But they would say, hey, we're not as shitty as these guys. Does that sound rigged to you? It should. Because it is. Thank you for sharing that. Even though that's not super topical right now, that's an important lesson. And one we shouldn't forget. All right, let's see what else people are talking about. This is something from Seawalk. We'll go here next. Let me give it a Get Your News On with Ron retweet. And then we'll go to Ziacticul. This is from Chris Hedges. Heard of that dude. Hold on one second. It's loading kind of slow for me. I apologize. Boom. There you go. The war on Assange is a war on press freedom. I'm assuming they're referring to Julian Assange and not his evil twin brother, Ray. Ray Assange hates the press. Ray Assange is like, let's just stifle it. Ray Assange read 1984 and was actually rooting for the government. Ray was very confused. Julian tried to talk his evil twin brother out of it, saying, no, man, that's not the way it is. But Ray was having none of it. And, of course, I'm kidding. I don't believe Julian Assange has a evil twin brother. He might have a twin brother. I actually don't know much about his personal life. He may have a brother. I have no idea. But I just made that up. All right. The war on Assange is a war on press freedom. I agree. So let's see what Mr. Hedges is saying here. The failure on the part of the establishment media to defend Julian Assange, who's been in the Ecuadorian embassy since 2012, has been denied communication with the outside world since March and appears to be facing imminent expulsion and arrest is astonishing. I agree. The extradition of the publisher, the maniacal goal of the U.S. government, would set a legal precedent that would criminalize any journalistic oversight or investigation of the corporate state. It would turn leaks and whistleblowing into treason. And who smiled and went along right with this? Barack Obama did. George W. Bush did. Barack Obama did too. And yeah, I know he eventually pardoned Chelsea Manning after torturing her for 6 years. If Assange is extradited to the United States and sentenced, the New York Times, the Washington Post, and every other media organization, no matter how tepid their coverage of the corporate state, would be subject to the same draconian censorship. I don't even know if it would be necessary. I'll say that. Do you guys think the New York Times or the Washington Post needs censorship from the deep state? And when I say needs, I mean I'm not talking like morally. Of course, morally that's a repulsive idea. I mean needs as in the powers that be would feel the need to do that on them. That's what I mean. My answer to that is no. The Washington Post has never met a war they didn't like. They are certainly very timid to ever criticize someone like a Jeff Bezos, because he owns them. What does Jeff Bezos also have? Contracts with the CIA and weapons manufacturers. Oh, and they hold secret meetings where nobody knows what they talk about. It's not a conspiracy. It happened, and we talked about it on this show. And so do you really think that they need, and I love Chris Hedges' work, but in this particular paragraph, do you really think that's something we should be worried about? Oh, they're going to start censoring the New York Times and the Washington Post. The subversive truth-telling. I understand his point. Like I understand the principle he's getting at. I mean, I think what he's getting at is, that whole, the whole notion, first they came for the socialists, I did not speak out. Or wait, it was trade union, but it doesn't matter. You guys know the quote. But first they came for the whistleblowers, I did not speak out. Then they came for the newspapers, and I did not speak out. Then they came for me. There was no one left to speak out for me. I mean, there was, but everybody was in the chat, so I couldn't hear them. They were chatting like crazy. They were like, they came for Ron. They came for Ron. We enjoy getting our news with a cranky comedian. Helps the coffee go down a little less bitter, and they came for him. Shit. So there are growing signs that the Ecuadorian government of Lenin Moreno is preparing to evict Assange and turn him over to British police. Moreno and his foreign minister, Jose Valencia, have confirmed they are in negotiations with the British government to resolve the fate of Assange. Whew. Ecuador has been looking for a solution to this problem. The refuge is not forever. You cannot expect it to last for years without us reviewing the situation. How about you review the situation and put pressure, worldwide pressure, on the United States for a pardon? Why don't you do that? Assange, who reportedly is in ill health, took asylum in the embassy to avoid extradition to Sweden to answer questions about sexual offense charges. He feared that once in Swedish custody for these charges, which he said were false, he would be extradited to the United States. The Swedish prosecutor's office ended its investigation and extradition charge request to Britain in May of 2017 and did not file sexual offense charges against Assange. But the British government said Assange would nevertheless be arrested and jailed for breaching his bail conditions. So they're saying, well, that's a breach of conditions that you didn't show up, even though you knew that if you were going to show up, you were going to be sent to the United States, probably. Wow, that sounds like rock meets hard place to the nth degree. The persecution of Assange is part of a broad assault against anti-capitalist and anti-imperialist news organizations. The ruling elites who refuse to accept responsibility for profound social inequality or the crimes of empire have no ideological veneer left to justify their greed, ineptitude, and pillage. Global capitalism and its ideological justification, neoliberalism, are discredited as forces for democracy, and the equitable distribution of wealth. The corporate-controlled economic and political system is as hated by right-wing populists, I would say that's an oxymoron, by the way, as it is by the rest of the population. This makes the critics of corporatism and imperialism, journalists, writers, dissidents, and intellectuals already pushed to the margins of the media landscape. Dangerous, and it makes them prime targets. Assange is at the top of that list. Yeah, he said that pretty well. I think that kind of sums it up brilliantly. More brilliantly than I could have. Let me go to the chat, see what you guys are thinking. Balthazar says, I saw The Other Guys was a buddy cop movie. Andrew says, Soma Shawant, SA's corporate head tax should be taken national to pay for housing. Soma Shawant is awesome, and I really got to get her on the show. Pasta, if you're watching, Soma Shawant up in Seattle, I want to get her on the show. When I met her, she said she really liked the Jimmy Dore show, which I was very flattered because she is a true warrior, and yeah, that was pretty cool. Let's see what else you guys are saying. He is offline and so unable to work. Yep. Julian Assange is still offline. And some of you guys are sharing recipes, and it's making me hungry. Hello, Fred. Sorry your notification was late. Come visit Seattle and do a show. That's a freaking great idea. I am going to get up to Seattle. I don't know when exactly, but I am going to get up there. And as Balthazar points out, Peter Douche is stuck in the embassy suites. All right, thanks for sharing that one. I'm going to move on. Cappuccino Conservative shared this. Let's see, I think this might be a video. But we can do that now. And my timeline just jumped on me. Alright, cool. Let me go ahead and give this a Get Your News On With Ron retweet. Alright, so let's check out this video. Why isn't it letting me play this video? That's really weird. Oh, there we go.
That a job provides. It provides dignity and structure, and a sense of place, and a sense of purpose.
Okay.
So we're going to have to consider new ways of thinking about these problems, like a universal income.
Whoa!
Review of.
Oh, okay, that's it. All right. So he said the words universal income. The words were uttered out of Barack Obama's mouth. You know what? That means we're probably going to get it next week, you guys. That's... See, and that's the thing. He said it like he was in a confession booth, confessing to a... Oh, we're going to have to entertain some other ideas, like universal income. That's... Whenever he would bring up, like, real progressive policies, and he would do this even when he was president. Whenever he would bring up, like, true progressive policies, he would bring them up as if he was issuing an apology, and then kind of make it seem like, yeah, we're not actually going to do that, though. He would do that. He did that with single payer. Like, he's like, oh, you know, if we were starting from scratch, a single payer system might be the best. No, it would be the best. Well, it might be the best, but, you know, we're not starting from scratch. And then, and Nancy Pelosi, you can go ahead and borrow these talking points and just mumble about it to Beulah Rasa for a few minutes. It won't look embarrassing at all. But he said universal basic income. Let's remember this day. When Barack Obama is out of office and has no power, and there's no chances of anything like this happening remotely because we have a right-wing stranglehold on our government completely at every level, Barack Obama said, oh, maybe a universal basic income at some point. So some of his disciples who think he can do no wrong no matter what, and think he is shielded from any type of criticism whatsoever, can point to this and be like, see, you purist, he's for a UBI. Obama, but we would have had a UBI if it wasn't for you purists. Oh, so there was your daily dose of comedy from Barack Obama. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. All right. Let's move on. Thank you for sharing that, though, Cappuccino Conservative. I do appreciate that very much. This is from David. David has some news over from the lovely mom-and-pop company, Walmart. Always looking out for the little guy, Walmart. Always looking out for the little guy, hoping they can step on them. All right, let's see what's going on with Walmart. Sorry that the margins are kind of bad on that one. Walmart patents an audio surveillance tool to monitor employee conversations. Here, let's see how this is looking for you guys. Maybe I can go ahead and... Here, let me see if I can kind of fix that a little bit for everybody. There we go. Oh, how's that, huh? That's better, right? There we go. Now let's... oh, that's me. I don't want to mess with that. Now let me go ahead and get the top there so you don't have to look at my dumb head. That works. There we go. Alright, not perfect, but it's better. Alright. Retail Colossus Walmart just patented a new technology meant to monitor employee productivity via audio surveillance of checkout counters. The technology, which Walmart calls listening to the front end, aims to increase employee efficiency by using sensors to monitor sounds that can indicate how long lines are, how many bags are being used. Man, we really got to cut back on these bags. It's really cutting into our profit margin. And most unnervingly, conversations among employees or between employees and customers. You know, like if you're like, hey, do you like working here? Do they treat you fairly? Hey, I represent a union. Here's my card. Unlike competitor Amazon, Walmart has the burden of physical retail stores. They got this burden. They got to give people jobs and underpay them. How lame. So it's unsurprising they're looking to squeeze as much productivity out of their workers as possible. Right now, this is just a patent, but it's unknown whether Walmart will ever develop it. You really think they're going to get a patent and not develop something? But it shows Walmart is following in Amazon's footsteps when it comes to finding new and inventive methods of invasive employee surveillance. When asked for comment, Walmart told BuzzFeed News, we're always thinking about new concepts and ways that will help us further enhance how we serve customers. By serve customers, they mean strip away any rights their employees may have had and spy on them in an unreasonable manner. Actually, all manners are unreasonable. You don't spy on your freaking employees. What type of employer-employee relationship does that foster? I mean, that's just creepy. They're going to listen to what you're doing. I mean, first of all, like, in a lot of really small areas, I'd imagine going to Walmart is a bit of a social activity. So you're going to monitor, hey, you asked Jim how the kids were doing. Move the line along. Nobody cares how the kids are doing. And I know that you're stuck in this job because it's the only thing available in your community, so we exploit you all that we can. But we're going to strip away any human dignity you have left by making sure you can't even make small talk with other members in your community. Big Brother is watching. George Orwell nailed it. Way to be creepy and evil. I think Walmart and Amazon, they have a little bit of a competition. Who can be creepy and more evil? And, it's neck and neck. First Amazon came out with those things where if you're a warehouse worker, if you do the wrong motion with your hand, it will shock you. They are literally treating you like an animal. People do that to dogs, which, by the way, I'm against doing it to dogs. So that shows how against I am doing it to people. I think it's archaic and weird. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. Ray, where are you going to be in Galena, Ron? I might drive there from Chicago. Ray, you should. That'd be awesome. Go to ronplico.com and email me because that is a house show. So go ahead and drop me an email and I will send you all of the information you need to attend that show. And Balthazar, I have a feeling this is a Obama thing, so I'll go ahead and read it in my bad Barack Obama impression. We did some bad stuff. economically starve some folks. Well, you know, some folks, they were economically starved. But, you know, maybe a UBI. Maybe that's, you know, I'll talk about it. It's politically convenient. It'll never happen anytime soon. So, you know, resistance. Cool. Way to be creepy, Walmart. We would expect nothing less from you, ever. All right. Let's move on. .org. Right? Thank you for sharing that, David. Shauna says, I don't mean to be politically controversial, but I don't trust the FBI. All right, and this is from Gabriel. We'll go ahead and give this a Get Your News On with Ron retweet. And this is written by him. All right. And this is saying 5 reasons Russiagate could sink the Democratic Party. Interesting. Let's go ahead and see what this is all about. 5 reasons Russiagate could sink the Democratic Party. Treason! It's not a word someone comes across every day. It's a strong word. To an objective observer, Trump botched the hell out of that appearance alongside Russian President Vladimir Putin. Trump was as close to Jeb Bush's level of energy as I've ever seen him, and since the media won't ever let me escape the scumbag, I've seen enough to know the difference by now. These are Gabriel's words. But here's where my take differs from most others on the left, where they saw a treasonous capitulation. Took me a second. That's a hard thing to say. Did you say this out loud, Gabriel? Treasonous capitulation. That is... I'm not going to be able to say that 5 times fast. From an American president to the man they believe attacked our democracy, I saw an incompetently corrupt egomaniac have a realization in real time that he was in over his head alongside a competently corrupt egomaniac. That's actually pretty good. Now, I'll agree that Trump should absolutely have been harsh with Putin publicly, but not for the same reasons as the bulk of the liberal world. Trump should have outlined the various human rights abuses Putin oversees, both abroad and in Russia. He should have thrown out a zinger on the sham elections which kept Putin in power. How powerful would it have been for America to demand that Russia cease any more thinly veiled attempts at conquest around the world and taking steps to curb our own appetite for global interference? But I digress. Oligarchs gotta oligarch. Instead, the main source of the fury stems from Russiagate allegations. Yeah, that's all people have been talking about. You know, the people that talk about Trump and Putin, which both of them, I don't like either one of them. Both of them are deserving of tons of criticism. And that's an understatement. However, we're not talking about those human rights abuses. We're not talking about, you know, election scandals in both countries. We're talking about this nonstop Russiagate. That's the only thing people care about. Putin was not on anybody's mind prior to all this in the United States, as far as the corporate media was concerned. Nobody was talking about that. To find a story about what was going on in the Ukraine or Crimea or when Code Pink was protesting Putin, you had to dig for any of that, and the corporate media didn't care at all about that. Now all of a sudden, everything's Trump-Russia, everything's Putin. Why? Because it's a convenient scapegoat. That's what Russiagate is at this point. It's a convenient scapegoat. It's blatantly hypocritical. The whole Russiagate is founded on these basically allegations. First, that Russian operatives hacked DNC servers. Second, that Donald Trump colluded. Problem is, with damaging content, the damaging content consisted of emails between Democratic officials. Yeah, nobody talks about the content in the emails. Just the fact that allegedly Russia was behind it. Which again, allegedly. We don't know that. We don't know that. I'll grant you another hypothetical, since most liberals like to throw out the whole let's not relitigate 2016 when you try to make them face these super obvious problems that were in all of our heads. So let's just say, this is getting back to Gabriel's article, let's just say the 2016 primary was completely fair and square. Let's just say that. It wasn't, but again, let's just say that. This is a hypothetical sake in Gabriel's article. They've still been cheating candidates in their own party, and they're still asserting their right to do so. Even if Trump did a little Mission Impossible routine over the DNC servers while FaceTiming with Vlad, we don't know that he didn't. He's a big tech guru, that Donald Trump. The Democrats cannot claim to be guardians of democracy in one breath, while casually enabling the assaults on Democratic Party leaders commit with near impunity. Yeah, that's, you know, I tweeted something similar where I just said, look, if you're okay with superdelegates, gerrymandering, if you're okay with the Electoral College, if you're okay with voter suppression, you don't get to complain about another country, quote-unquote, hijacking our democracy, and nobody should care what you have to say about the topic. There are much bigger fish to fry. No kidding. Here's just a couple. Police brutality, stagnant wages, climate change, a racist criminal justice system, a classist criminal justice system, regulating the forces that created the 2008 financial crisis, a humane immigration system, gun violence, fracking, paid leave for mom, single-payer, tuition-free college, money in politics, preserving women's liberty. It's being used to silence the left, absolutely, just as the FARA Act happened. They claim, by the way, Gabriel brings up DAPL. They were claiming that Russia was behind the DAPL protests. Native Americans didn't know the pipeline was a bad thing until they were hypnotized by Russian propaganda. If that's not classist, elitist nonsense, I don't know what is. WMDs, yeah, Robert Mueller, the hero of the fake conservative in denial movement, was the same guy that lied us into Iraq, or something that helped lie us into Iraq. And number 5, something about eggs in baskets. I support the investigation for transparency's sake. These are Gabriel's words. I don't know if I could even go as far as to say I support the investigation at all anymore. I think that, you know, I think that it is getting ridiculous at this point. I think that Trump is worthy of so much criticism. It's unbelievable, but this Russiagate red herring has gotten ridiculous. It is neo-McCarthyism, and I think that already the ends do not justify the means, whether they find something or not, which I don't know how much time you need. You got access to every phone call. You got access to every email. You got access. How much time do you freaking need? And I sound like a broken record at this point, but how much time do you need? And a lot of these indictments are just regular everyday corruption. They have nothing to do, and that's buried in the headline, by the way. In paragraph 6, they'll be like, oh, by the way, this indictment has nothing to do with potential collusion. It's just money laundering. Which, yeah, they're probably going to find money laundering. They're probably going to be able to pin something on Trump. And it's probably going to be oligarchs being shady oligarchs. Is that going to be enough to impeach him? I don't know. If it is enough to impeach him, is it going to be enough to bring Pence down and everyone else down too? I would think probably not. And if so, it ain't worth it. Because if impeaching Trump just gets you President Pence, we are worse off. We're way worse off. Because you just traded in an incompetent sociopath for a competent sociopath that's going to be able to get shit done. And Trump wariness won't help the Democrats at all going into the midterms, so the Republicans will maintain power, and they might re-elect that demagogue in 2020. That would be what would potentially happen if they impeach Trump but don't get the rest of the group as well. So thanks for sharing your article, Gabriel. I enjoyed it. And you bring up some really good points. Thanks for sharing, man. And you can check out Gabriel's article over on Medium. I just gave it a retweet there. All right. We got time for a few more. Let's see what's going on. And let me try to find the... This is from TJ. And this is from an Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez interview. I've not seen this interview, so this is my first time seeing it right now. But TJ says, I'm curious to hear your perspective on this. She kind of fumbled her answer and conceded to her host, which is kind of worrying, but she is still great in my opinion. All right, well, let's see what this is all about. I've not seen this interview before, so I'm learning about all this for the first time. But let's go to it. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez prompts outrage in U.S. for accurately referring to Israel's occupation of Palestinian territory. Okay, so this is a video. And why am I not? Okay. Cool, so I guess we just gotta wait through this advertisement. Hey, get a Firehouse sub. It's made with meat that's like sort of meat. I mean, at least it's legal in this country. And we got some bread that has like slits in it. Isn't that cool? Don't you like your bread with... Enjoy more subs and save more lives. How you eating a sandwich saves lives, I don't know, but we'll roll with it. All right.
We're starting to see, at least in the...
Hold on. All right, so let's start it at the beginning.
I also think that what people are starting to see, at least in the occupation of Palestine, is just an increasing crisis of humanitarian condition. And that to me is just where I tend to come from on this issue.
You use the term the occupation of Palestine. What did you mean by that?
Oh, I think what I meant is like the settlements that are increasing in some of these areas and places where Palestinians are experiencing difficulty in access to their housing and homes.
Okay. Yeah, she struggled with that a little bit. She was put on the spot. She was called out. She knew she was being placed in a difficult situation politically. She's still pretty new at this. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any justification for outrage there on over one side or the other. I mean, she's addressing the issue. She's doing so constructively and fairly. And yeah, she was put on the spot. She fumbled a little bit, sure. Would you have done better if you were in her shoes? I don't think I would have. I think I would have had a hard time doing something like that on the spot too, especially if I was in her situation. If I was in a situation where I was running for office, where I had to win over a strongly Democratic district, but one that is, you know, kind of your traditional Democratic district, and one where, you know, I have the establishment candidate trying to sabotage me. Now, I'm not saying that means she should back down of her convictions. I'm certainly not implying that at all. But I'm talking more from a verbiage standpoint. You know, you have to pick your words very carefully in the age of clickbait. And she needs to be very wise and strategic, especially while addressing very, you know, complex issues. So, yeah, I mean, she struggled there. She'll struggle in the future, just like everybody else. She's still learning, and she's going to have her growing pains. I don't really see it as a reason for outrage one way or the other. I think it's refreshing that there's at least somebody that's approaching these issues from a fair standpoint, as opposed to what we usually see, where I'm pro-Israel and I ask no questions. I'm pro-Israel and I ask no questions. I'm pro-Israel and I ask no questions. And if you ask questions, you hate Jewish people. That logic makes no sense whatsoever. It's the same as saying if you're opposed to war in America, it means you're anti-American. That makes zero sense. But we say it and we repeat it, and if we repeat it enough, people will stop listening. Or will start listening, excuse me. It's refreshing to see somebody in the political arena actually approach it. And she's going to get her share of pushback. And she's probably not always going to be 100% on point, because she's got a lot of opposition to overcome. And if that outrages anybody so much, I encourage you to go out and do a better job. Honestly, like I'm not trying to be like, oh, I'd like to see you do it, but like seriously, I mean, go out and do a better job. If she's, you know, if you could do so much better, if you could perform that well under that kind of pressure, with the stakes as high as they are on her, And, you know, I mean, I'm sure that in Ocasio-Cortez's career, and I hope she does have a long career. I really do. I'm sure that if she does, which I really hope she does, and I hope she wins, I'm sure there will be moments I disagree with her. I'm sure there will be times where I will criticize her. And I'm sure there will be other times where I do agree with her. And I'm sure there will be times where she is very worthy of criticism. I personally don't consider this one of these times. I objectively don't consider this one of these times. That's my analysis. So let me see what you guys are saying. Electoral college doesn't even offer degree programs. Huh, that's funny. It's time consuming, but we need a truly massive breakdown of the indictments. Which ones are bullshit? Why? What is normal BS? What is serious? Anyway, the Jimmy Dore show would get the graphics breakdown done. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of graphics. I'd call it Israel apartheid and rip Dems on it. Okay. I would gladly stand up against Israel on TV if I had her money. Then, Chris, you should run for office. Like, seriously, like, I'm not trying, like, you should really run for office. I don't think she didn't stand up. But, yeah, she was put on the spot, and she didn't have, I mean, again, it was a 40-second thing. So, yeah, I mean, if you would have nailed it in that situation, Chris, you should totally be running for office. You really should. And then you should get on TV and show her how it's done. You know? Let's see. Do you think she wobbled on that answer because of her being put on the spot, or backtrack because she will have to work with the same people supporting Israel? I think she wobbled on that answer because she was put on the spot. I think that, you know, it's tough, it's complicated, and people are going to try to have gotcha moments with you 24/7. And I guarantee if I was in her situation, I wouldn't be perfect either with my words. I wouldn't be. So, yeah, I do. I think it's the former. Let's see. They're looking for something to exploit, Daniel says. I agree. People are overanalyzing this. I agree. I mean, it's 40 seconds. Again, it's 40 seconds. And, you know, they kind of put her right on the spot, and she said, you know, essentially what she meant. Did she nail it? No, not really. Will she be better prepared for that in the future? Yeah. You know. And again, if you would nail it 100% of the time, seriously, run for office. You're doing all of us a disservice by not running for office. And I'm not being condescending at all. I'm being totally serious. Like, you should run for office. You know, if you would nail it every time and you feel confident that you would do that, I can't wait to see it. And I can't wait to support you. I really do. But, you know, I know she's anti-war. I agree. I do think she's anti-war. Ron, will you run for office someday? No. Let's see. Another thing people were upset about was her endorsing a two-state solution. I'm not familiar with that specifically. I mean, I know she's been vocal about the brutality of the Israeli government, which, again, is a criticism of the right-wing government in Israel. It's not criticizing the people that live there. Anyway. You guys know how I am on that. Attacking a young progressive is dumb and counterproductive. I agree with you, Soul Rebel. I totally agree with you. Balthazar, will Lucy run for office? You know, in her mind, she's already ran for office. I would vote for Lucy. I would vote for Lucy too, Steven. Daniel, I wouldn't run either. Yeah, I don't. You know what? First of all, some people have asked me, and I don't want to get too far off of this to make it all about, to like divert from the conversation because we got to end here in a few minutes. But, some people ask me, especially with the municipal internet thing I'm fighting for here in Pasadena, they asked me, are you considering running for city council? And yes, I did consider it. I did think about it. The conclusion that I honestly came to, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe you guys have opinions on this, and I'd be curious what they are. I honestly think I'd have a better shot at getting something done in the position I'm in now than running for city council. I feel like I'd be way more effective here in this seat than I would be, because I just feel like it's more... There's more I could get done as just some comedian personality guy pushing for this cause and explaining how this cause pertains to the business in my community. Somebody brought up Pasadena's a little bit right-leaning. That is true. Compared to other parts of Southern California, it is. Compared to the rest of the country, it's a relatively progressive place. But by Southern California standards, it's one of the more conservative areas, comparatively speaking. Municipal internet benefits a community from a business standpoint. That's just a fact. And I'm willing to speak that language if it helps us get this done. And I feel like I'm so much more effective as somebody coming at this from, hey, this affects my livelihood, and there's a lot of people like me in Pasadena. I feel like I would be so much more effective that way. But anyway, I'm glad so many of you would vote for Lucy. I really appreciate it. And TJ also brings up, thank you for talking about this, Ron. I still back Alexandria and anybody like her. It's refreshing to have someone with some authenticity. I agree with you. Yeah, I'm totally with you. I support her too. And, it's really terrible what's going on with her, with Joe Crawley. And I think it's like you kind of got to have your eye on the bigger picture. Russ, what's up, buddy? Russ, Ron, you are a secret Russian agent. You can win any race you enter with this folder of memes we have prepared for you. Russ, use same folder of memes to get me Netflix special. I would prefer Netflix special over Office. Netflix special sounds way more fun. Way more fun than sitting in Office and not being able to say whatever I want. I like being able to say whatever the fuck I want. So please, I'm thankful for folder of memes. Use folder of memes to get Netflix special. I tweeted a meme of Jesus arm wrestling Satan and demanded Netflix special. It did not work. I don't know why it didn't work, but I know that you have more memes that can help us. And if we have enough memes that are seen by up to 300 people at a time on Facebook, we can definitely take down billion-dollar election and surely get me Netflix special. So let's do that, Rush. Russ. I called you Rush. It is difficult for accent. I'm only so good at it. Doing the best I can, guys. But yeah, let's go ahead and use that. Let's go use those memes for that Netflix special instead. Guys, we are totally out of time. I gotta run. I love you all very much. You guys are awesome. Oh, and by the way, you know what? I'm gonna play a little ditty for you here. Bear with me for a second here. This is how I kind of want to end the show. Because I'm going to have... the podcast is not going to come this week. It's going to come next week. So bear with me. Well, I have a little bit of road stuff that I'm closing on. But thanks to Jeff over here. Here is a sneak peek at the theme song. Let me know if you guys can hear this. I hope you can. Here we go. There it goes. Wait for it. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you wanna know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Yeah, yeah, Somebody better make a meme of this later. I'm dancing, and it looks creepy and weird.
Get your news on with Ron. Just wanna know what's going on. Getting our news on today. Yeah, 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 yeah. Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron, the podcast.
So that's it. I hope you guys like it. I hope you guys dug it. That's coming up on the podcast. Yeah, backup vocals, right? Huh? Thank Jeff for that. And Jeff's actually going to be on soon to talk to us about MMT. He's going to talk to us about MMT. I'm looking forward to that. He's going to condense the lesson so that we can do it within an hour and then everybody can ask questions. So that's going to be fun. I love you all very much. I do have to go. I will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we're going to have a special guest tomorrow. We're going to have a special guest tomorrow. It's going to be somebody that you guys are interested in talking to. So I'm still solidifying everything. So yeah, but that's coming. I love you all very much. I will see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. This has been Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. Thank you so much for the great articles today and the great commentary. You guys rule. You make this show possible. Without you, it would not last. Want to support this show a little bit more and help us get some upgrades? Patreon.com/RonPlacone, a pay-what-you-can level. You get all kinds of bonus content, including a stand-up set that I'm going to post today. I love you all very much. Stay safe.